All right, real quickly, your homework, which you should have enough information to at least get started on. We did not go over all of this, not necessarily because I didn't finish the slides, but because the book covers some of this in more detail. Make sure you go in and you read your book. Some of these answers can be pulled straight from there. Yeah, so benefits and disadvantages of each of these following. You'll probably need to look up synchronous, automatic, copy, and then fixed. We talked about this indirectly from a high level. When you look at the definitions, think about what you think the advantage and disadvantages
We
are.
talked about asynchronous and synchronous.
Describe the actions taken by the kernel in a context switch. We discussed that. Make sure you go out and you look exactly at what it's doing, because it is actually a decent list. I don't need you to tell me the exact instructions a kernel executes, but make sure you tell me your program counter, memory, which parts of memory, which sections, etc., etc. And also what's actually being edited in the scheduler of the process, the process state's being changed, etc., etc. Well, I'm just telling you the answers, but whatever. 3. This is a very interesting one. Sun Ultra Spark. Okay, so this is a little old because it's Sun. But this was a really interesting feature that they came up with. The idea is that you would have something they called register windows. The book's calling them register sets. In Spark, you had 32 registers in a register file. And what they did is they decided to create 32 sets of these 32 entry register files. The point of it is when you wanted to do a context switch, maybe a process, you would just switch the window on the hardware. So it would take one instruction to switch from one register file to another register file, and that would be a permanent change. So think about that from a context switching. How does that help? Does that make sense what it's doing? Awesome. All right, when can fork creates a new process by copying the kernel process? How can that be inefficient? I think someone nailed that very well in class. Bounded buffer implementation. All right, this is where we're starting to get to something we quite haven't talked about. Bounded buffer means the buffer has a fixed size. That's actually what we're using. The shared memory has a fixed size. Produce a consumer with process communication would be better shared memory or message passing. We haven't talked about message passing yet, so you'll have to look that up if you want to get to that one. Otherwise, we'll talk about it next class. And then we have not talked about marshalling at all, so that again will be next class. Again, courtesy note. Hopefully you've recognized that in these paragraphs there are repeats from previous. So this list is not like it's growing substantially, but it is growing significantly, I guess, or at least a medium rate. Just a list to give you an idea of what you need to know. Joining GitHub a week from today, or on Blackboard. I have been accepting it on Blackboard, but today's where your first assignment is due, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, I have another thing. I'm trying not to look at anybody's threads or anything because I still have to turn my assignment in today. But I have access to what everybody puts up on GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
I can see everything.
You can see what they put up? Interesting.
I would look. I just briefly said, I'm getting this notification because you're part of the.
I got a notification from somebody, but I didn't get everybody's.
Yeah, okay, so we're getting maybe Brad. That was
okay,
Brad.
yeah, so Brad is making his public to everyone. Yeah, you shouldn't be seeing someone
so I got
else's.
Brad's. Okay.
Yeah, so that's Brad.
I was like,
well, at least that signifies who's the one that's sharing their content. But
well, 'cause I have no idea how mine's set up. But
right. You shouldn't be seeing everyone else's, so thank you for telling me that.
So,
I'll go need to talk to Brad about that.